Hey guys, how you doing today? Just in the graveyard, my usual walk. Uh, the thing that's been banging around in my head today uh, is the title of the video. When did it become okay to be a Nazi? When did it become okay for us to tolerate and accept just this shrugging, apathetic, uh, uh, just acceptance that, oh well, there's gonna be Nazis in the society. What are you gonna do about it? I recently read an article that was published in antihate.ca, a website called antihate.ca, where the author of the piece infiltrated a Discord server. For the older people in the room, this is a chat system where people can go and create little communities, right? Think like Facebook or Reddit, something like this. Well, Discord is another one of them, where you can go and create a group based on an idea. And there's a fellow by the name of Tyler Russell who has created a Discord channel called Canada First. Oh, sounds familiar, right? Canada First, America First, which is explicitly for the celebration of racism and neo-Nazism in Canada. That in the infiltration of this Discord server, the author discovers a celebration of the genocide of the First Nations people, statements saying that the residential school system was good because it was for the eradication of the First Nations culture to be replaced by European culture, which is good, right? These sorts of statements coming up, statements of collectively rounding up Jews and how the Jews have taken over the media and these sorts of things. The classic Nazism. And even more terrifying, Tyler Russell's Canada First organization has explicitly stated its desire to infiltrate Canadian politics, specifically the People's Party of Canada with Maxime Bernier, but also the Conservative Party of Canada. In fact, one of the places that you can go within this Discord channel is called the Sloan Zone, right? Named after Derek Sloan, the disgraced former Conservative Party member who was ejected from the party after telling the Minister of Health to, quote unquote, go back to China. And of course, I've been saying this entire time that Derek Sloan is just the sacrificial lamb in the Conservative Party. We've known for a very long time about the far right, or alt-right if you choose, connections that exist within the Conservative Party, and that Derek Sloan just took one step out of line, a little bit too far to the right. But we're very aware that there are other members within the Conservative Party which align very cleanly with this Tyler Russell individual. Before I go on, if you've made it here, please be sure to like, share, subscribe. We need to be supporting leftist voices. There is a rising neo-Nazi organizations happening here in Canada. The leftists are the ones that are going to push them back into the pit from which they came. Please think about actually supporting to the Patreon. Please think about actually joining the channel. Please think about actually fighting back against these neo-Nazis, right? And so my question becomes, when did it become kind of okay for this to occur, right? That it used to simply be the case that neo-Nazis like this, we would imprison them, right? We've done that before. Here in Toronto, there's a fellow who was going around handing out pamphlets that were calling for the rounding up of the Jews, and he spent a year in prison, right? Well, what's the story with this Tyler Russell fellow? What's the story with this Discord channel? It's open, it's available for anyone to see, right? We have hate speech laws here in Canada, and I think the most despicable thing that I've been seeing happening is when people say that we should be incarcerating and arresting these neo-Nazis for their express views of destroying other cultures. Not only being openly racist, but actually calling for the eradication of other races and the ethnic cleansing of other races. That when we say these people should be rounded up, their childish, insipid response is to say, well, who's the racist now, or who's defying free speech now, or who's being authoritarian now, or any kind of these childish, absurd statements that any adult understands fundamentally are childish, because Nazis don't have rights. It's very simple, it's very straightforward. We live in a society that is erected on a series of rules. Those rules are to be universally spread throughout the culture. Everyone has to adhere to them. Nazis stand up and say, I don't want those rules to apply, right? I don't think those rules should be universal. I don't think that I should be able to dictate who should and should not adhere to certain rule sets based on their race, right? And their desire to ethnically cleanse the society defies the norms of the society, which is that we have laws, and those laws are universal. And so when you stand up and say that you're a Nazi, or a white supremacist, or a fascist celebrating Hitler or Mussolini, you fundamentally are saying that you wish to exist outside of the legal system. So you are admitting cleanly and openly to all of us that you want to do away with rights. Okay, so we will. Nazis don't have rights. That means that we can round them up and arrest them and do what we'd like with them, right? By their own admission and by their own logic and by their own desire to exist in the society in such a way. The thing is that they're so stupid and childish and insipid that they can't possibly understand that this is what they're saying, because this is the mindset of the white supremacist, right? That the white supremacist views themselves as complete or whole or perfect, a perfect creature created by God, and that other races are an abomination, this sort of thing. And so they can't possibly understand that their statements of racism, their open racism, and their open desire to ethnically cleanse the society absolves them of legal protection. They cede their rights, as I have said previously. And what's weird to me is that these people are permitted to exist in the civil society. That we literally sent, like, my grandparents went to war. My grandparents went overseas and killed Nazis, right? That we as a people collectively sent an entire military force overseas in order to kill Nazis, and we celebrated it. We still celebrate it. We still have parades. We still have days of celebration where we go, hey, isn't it wonderful that we sent our men overseas to kill Nazis? When did it become uncool to kill Nazis? Every single hero I ever had growing up killed Nazis. Indiana Jones killed Nazis, right? The villains of every story. Who are the villains in The Sound of Music? Oh, it's the Nazis. Who is a classic Marvel villain? Well, someone like Red Skull, right? Who is like a Nazi wizard. Dr. Doom, another Nazi wizard. Like, we have in our culture, ever since I have been alive, always celebrated the open destruction of Nazis and Nazism. And now suddenly, in the last little bit, I'm supposed to stand here and accept Nazis in the civil society, that they're permitted to organize, that they're permitted to have a little clubhouse, that they're permitted to have a group where they can go together and make little plans and try to infect our political system and try to round up people and actually have them killed, and we're not supposed to say a thing about it. We're just supposed to shrug and say, oh well, what are you gonna do, Nazis? What are you gonna do? You're gonna take your police force, you're gonna go into that group, you're gonna arrest all those guys, and you're gonna incarcerate them, and not for a small period of time. And if they start to whinge and cry about how this is all being done in defiance of their rights, well, they don't have rights, they're Nazis. It's very simple. It's very simple. It's very cut and dry, right? And I don't understand, like, I feel like what I am saying now is going to be considered controversial. That someone along the road, I'm going to run into them and they're going to say, oh John, this is a controversial take. You're advocating just rounding people up for their political beliefs. Nazism is not a political belief. It's racism, it's hate speech. Being a Nazi is itself a hate crime. Rounding these people up and incarcerating them is a total benefit for the society across the board. And I frankly don't care about their rights because Nazis don't have rights. And I don't understand why this is considered a controversial take at all. We fought a war against Nazis. We shot these people. Adolf Hitler killed himself in a bunker because he was too much of a coward to actually face the consequences of his actions. And these people turn around and venerate and celebrate this genocidal, ethnic cleansing, racist, nightmare sociopath. And we're just supposed to stand there and be like, well, I guess they can go and vote, I suppose. No, they shouldn't be able to vote. Nazis don't have rights. Nazis cannot vote. Like, none of this. Sorry, you're standing up and saying that Adolf Hitler is somebody that we should venerate. You should be expelled from the civil society permanently. Like, I don't care. I don't care about the idea that, like, oh, don't you think they can be reformed or any of that? No. Like, no, I'm not interested in reforming these sorts of people, right? And in fact, if you really want to reform the society and keep future people from becoming Nazis, show them what we do to Nazis. And it's extremely odd to me that we treat Nazis with more respect than we treat the homeless, right? We eject people onto the streets, have them live in tent cities, but you know, if you're a good hardworking Nazi, you're totally able to take over a business, right? Take over a political party, become part of the civil society, right? Stand up and tell the Minister of Health that she needs to go back to China, this sort of thing, right? Shouldn't be tolerated. Shouldn't be tolerated at all. And we should do better as a people and as a society when it comes to this issue of Nazism. That we should create a firm line and say very strictly, if you are going to say that, if you are going to stand up and say that we should ethnically cleanse the society, then you should go to prison. We've done it before. We should continue doing it. All right, that's the end of this video, guys. Under these circumstances where we're allowing neo-Nazi groups to just exist in our society, you're doing very well. Like, this is how weak our leadership is. This is how pathetic we are as a people, where we're just allowing neo-Nazis to just exist in the society without confronting them directly. Because we are gullible cowards, frankly. Each of us isolated and separated, we don't have any ability to actually push back against these neo-Nazis. Someone like Trudeau is never actually going to do anything about this. You are a divine being standing on divine energy. These neo-Nazis are doing everything they can to pretend as though you are less than, that you should be denigrated, that you should be assaulted and attacked, and we shouldn't let them. Good luck. We're gonna need it.